All right, good afternoon. You're watching or listening to, depending if you're watching live stream on Facebook or listening to our later podcast, Weather and Climate Chat with Monsoon Mike and, let me change the camera around. Hold on. There you go, Dr. Michael Davis.
Hello, fans.
How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Okay, well, last week was the first time that we decided to expand this into Facebook Live as well, and it was a fairly good success, so we thought we would do the same. This crazy up and down past couple of months continues. Last week we were talking about some potential of some severe thunderstorms, and now today is yesterday and today have been absolutely beautiful days if you don't mind the wind. That dumb wind has been acting up yet again. We've had so many windy days lately, it seems.
Oh, that pressure gradient force.
Yeah. But, and temperatures right now, I think it says 61 degrees in Kutztown, so it's hard to believe that we're talking the S word for the next 12 to 18 hours. Tell us, Dr. Davis, what we can look forward to.
We have a low-pressure system that's currently coming out of the Midwest area, and that's going to be bringing us the threat of some snow later tonight and into early tomorrow morning. We've already been seeing some snow showers and activity around, say, Michigan, into New York and so forth. And over time, that frontal system is going to be passing further to our south. And as that moisture starts to build, we're going to be getting into the snow cover or snow threat.
Okay, so right now it's very, very mild. We're recording this at about 2 o'clock on Thursday. It's about 60 degrees, a little gusty out there wind-wise, but it's hard to believe that we're going to even be able to drop that much temperature-wise to have snow.
We have some pretty darn cold air that's coming in behind this cold front, probably some of the colder air we've seen this time of year. In fact, for early March standards, it's pretty darn cold. It's supposed to be about 10, 15 degrees below average for the next couple of days.
So this cold front is coming through in the next several hours, Dr. Davis?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so we get the cold front through. Temperatures start to tank this evening. Precipitation looks to roll in at about, the models are implying 1-ish, 2 in the morning-ish, Friday morning.
Yeah, overnight.
It could be, if the precipitation does roll in before temperatures drop below, where they should be, to get some snow. Could be a little bit of a rain mixing in at first.
And we also are going to have some residual heat in the ground itself,
right.
So it's going to make it difficult for the snow to start sticking, at least at the onset of the event.
So it would have to snow pretty hard to compensate for all that warm ground. So yeah, we're gonna even though models might be print, and that's where you gotta use a good meteorologist or a good weather forecaster. Can't just look at a model that's printing out 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. That's printing that out, not taking into consideration that the ground is very warm.
That's right.
So taking that into consideration. Accumulation-wise, well, first let's get to time-wise. It looks like the storm comes in around 1 in the morning, ends around 10, 11-ish in the morning. Still could be some snow showers in the afternoon. We'll talk about that later. But in that range of 1 in the morning to about 10 in the morning, what are we looking at accumulation-wise, Dr. Davis?
The models are suggesting about 1 to 3 inches, and you and I are a little bit more pessimistic on the actual snow cover or snowfall itself. You ultimately, I think, are a little bit more bullish than I am. I'm thinking more along the lines of 1 inch.
Okay.
At most. And you're going
I'm going
closer to
I'm going with a coating to 2 inches. Obviously, the coating would be further south, going toward Philadelphia, and the 2 inches would be more in Schuylkill, Carbon, Monroe County area. But I think that you and I kind of agree that it's, less than what the models are printing out, just based on how warm it's been the past few days.
It very well could be somewhere between 1 to 2 inches.
Right.
Never know.
And also probably more on grassy surfaces, cold surfaces than roads.
And earlier this week, the GFS model was calling for a big whopper of a storm, about like 24 inches of snow or so. And that's certainly not going to happen this time around.
Well, we have a live viewer right now, and I got to get right to her since somebody just wrote to us, and I don't want to discourage, our first writer. So Nicole Rose just wrote in, when will spring weather return? Well, isn't that ironic that we've had so many warm weeks, and now that we're finally wrapping up winter, now we're going to get some below normal temperatures for a while.
Yeah, it looks like the next week or so is probably going to be a little bit on the chilly side and below average. We probably won't be rebounding till later in the month at least.
Wow.
I believe Climate Prediction Center still has us above average overall for the month of March.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, in fact, we can check that now. I'm kind of like working like 4 different hands here. I don't have enough hands to.
Maybe a monkey or something.
I guess so. Well, it's our National Weather.
Climate Prediction Center.
Yeah. Climate. There we go. Climate. Well,
and while Mike's loading that up, I will mention that this is just the start of an active week in terms of winter weather. We're going to be having several disturbances that are going to be coming through over the course of the next week.
Okay, I'm on the climate site now. Let's see, where is the forecasts for the month? Is this the right one here that I'm at? Where
I don't
am
know
I?
where you're looking.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at here. Oh, well.
I'll race you.
Yeah. Right, there you go. I'm trying to do too many things with my hands here. But, so you're right. Absolutely. This is going to be the beginning of a rather active period. Okay, so we pretty much broke it down. You keep looking that up while we talk about the next. Okay,
I'll show you the fans.
All right, there we go. So this is for
the month of March.
Month of March. So we're kind of like right on the border of average to maybe slightly above average. So they're still thinking, even despite this active period next week, still leaning on the average to mild side of things. That's not too bad.
There's our precipitation.
Equal chances. Okay. So.
And then for the next 3 months.
Oh, you have a fan here. Christina Audrey just wrote, Dr. Davis is the best.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.
There's our next 3 months.
Okay. So there you have it, Nicole, who was worried about spring weather. I mean, we're going to have to suffer a little bit over the next week or so, but it looks like beyond that, we get into more of a spring-type pattern. Okay.
Like, here's our next 6 to 10 days.
Below normal.
So definitely below average for, 10 days from now would be the 19th.
Right. Okay.
So not until like mid-March or so.
Okay.
And then, wrong button. 8 to 14 days, we're back in the plus side. So bear with us for next week. It's probably going to be a little bit chilly, and then swing back up north.
All right, you heard it first here, Nicole and Christina. We're going to suffer a little bit over the next week, but then getting better. Okay, so let's break this down. Now, we talked about tomorrow. We have snow coming in tonight around 1, maybe mixed with a little bit of rain, changing to snow. And then around 10 tomorrow morning, accumulations coating to 1 inch you're going with. I'm going with coating to 2 inches. Roads generally wet, but still could be slick in the morning, so you want to be careful.
I think the morning commute might be a little bit on the tricky side, but I don't think it's not going to be impossible, but take your time.
Take your time. And ironically, it is the last day of classes before spring break here at Kutztown University. So what a way to go out with a bang to go into spring break. Okay. Then we got to look at tomorrow afternoon because the models show as that storm exits, the wind's kicking in off of the Great Lakes, and we could have something kind of similar to what we had last week, if you remember, when there was a pretty bad pileup up on I-81 near where I live in Schuylkill County, those infamous snow squalls.
Yeah, we just had that kind of like one rogue whiteout squall that just kind of propagated across Schuylkill County and then across Berks County sometime about 4:30 or so Friday
I was here
afternoon.
I don't know if you were here when it happened, but
I was. Ironically, I was in weather analysis.
Were you? Okay. I was in my office, which, as you know, is kind of like a little cave. I didn't even know what was going on, and then I come to the next room. I'm like, wow, holy crap! We got I can't even see the building next door. It's a whiteout. So, and then unfortunately, I heard like 5 minutes later that there was a 30-car pileup in Schuylkill County, which was just to our north. So it was that squalls that came through. So rapidly, even though we will see improving weather tomorrow afternoon, it could still quickly change.
Yeah, especially if your travels, for spring break, are leading you toward Ohio or New York. You might be looking at some pretty significant lake effect snow bands that could produce some whiteout conditions.
And that's something we should also talk for our fans out there that are going to be traveling for spring break. Okay, we get past tomorrow, and then the weekend, the models earlier this week were jumping all over this huge storm on the weekend, and you and I kind of blew it off, and we were right. It was suppressed to the south. But ironically, North Carolina, of all places, might be seeing some snow.
Yeah, if you're heading toward the Outer Banks or just North Carolina, like eastern North Carolina, you're probably looking at some snowfall for your spring break.
That's crazy. Wow. Okay. And then that one. So, but other than that, we're not going to be affected at all by that one. That stays to the south.
That's going to be well to our south.
But it is going to be a windy and cold very cold weekend. I think I saw Saturday and Sunday might not get above freezing, at least in some
I saw
areas.
about 30 degrees or so for the weekend.
And the average this time of year is what, like mid-40s, I believe?
Yeah, about mid-40s.
So we're running about 15. We just can't have a couple average days, can we? We're either on 30 degrees above average or 15 degrees below
You got
average.
these wide swings in temperature, so it's one way or another. You don't get your average anymore.
Okay, and then we got to address it. Again, this is getting a little bit out of our comfort zone, but we got to address it because other people are addressing it, and even the National Weather Service is addressing it, that a fairly decent chance of some sort of winter activity in the Tuesday-ish time range next week.
Yeah, there's another system that's pretty much across the Pacific Northwest right now that's going to be coming down our way for Tuesday into Wednesday. A lot's going to depend on what this low pressure that forms off the Carolina coast is actually going to do. Mm-hmm. Pretty much when you get a low pressure forming off the Carolina coast, it usually means some type of nor'easter type system. Now, the one main index that meteorologists often look at in order to determine heavy snowfall potential in the wintertime is something known as the North Atlantic Oscillation,
right?
Which is sometimes abbreviated the NAO. And you typically want more of a blocking pattern, which would be a positive, right? I'm blanking for some reason on that.
I think blocking is negative.
No, it's negative. Negative. So if it's negative, then you have essentially a high-pressure system near the Canadian Maritime and Greenland that keeps this low-pressure system put pretty much for the next day or two.
Right.
And if it stays there, you can get heavy amounts of snow, say, across the major metropolitan areas like Boston, Hartford, New York City, Philadelphia. But that blocking pattern is not really in play right now. So this system should exit somewhat quickly.
Okay.
So there's probably going to be a window of about 3 to 6 hours of some heavy snowfall, and then several hours afterwards of more light snowfall.
Now, is there any chance, just playing devil's advocate here for folks that might not understand this kind of stuff, is there any chance that NAO could, allow it to block in a little bit longer, or is that not really a possibility at this point?
It's possible, but I don't think any of the models are really suggesting that at the point. So I do think the chances of that happening are fairly unlikely.
Minimal. Okay. And then it looks like as that storm pulls away next Tuesday, Wednesday, those darn winds are back again.
Yeah,
Everybody's been asking me.
Again.
Everybody's been asking me. They're like, Monsoon Mike, is Pennsylvania the new Chicago? And I got to give them a credit that they are right. I mean, it does seem like we've had so many windy days lately.
Climatologically speaking, March is our windiest month.
One of our windier months. Yeah. And then we get way far out, and, again, we're not even going to really touch on it much. But there could be, let's just say that next week looks active. There could be some more.
Slight resemblance, I guess, of a storm on Friday. But
yeah,
that's way out there.
But let's just say that next week is looking active and non-spring-like for spring break, unfortunately.
No, not around here at least.
So hopefully if you are going away for spring break, you're going pretty far south or pretty far southwest.
And with this storm that we're looking at for next week,
right,
you'll notice that you have these cold temperatures pretty much diving all the way down to almost Atlanta, Georgia there, where that cold air is going to be pretty much entrenched across the eastern United States.
Right.
Which is it's also something known as the Pacific North American Oscillation, the PNA.
Right.
And this is going to be a positive phase that you see right there.
Okay.
Where you have the trough in the east, pretty much indicative with all that cold air and warmer air associated out in the west.
Okay.
Sometimes if it's negative, it flips, and then it's more of a warmer spring.
And this is why spring-loving fans, you should not be happy when it's 74 degrees in February like it was a couple of weeks ago, because we'll eventually pay for it.
Yeah.
So and that's kind of what we're going to be doing over the next week. But it looks like beyond next week, just as astronomical spring rolls in, it looks like we could be getting to some more spring-like weather, fortunately.
Yeah, so let's get to the other S word, and that's spring as opposed to snow.
That's absolutely right. Okay, so I guess we can, at this point, just to summarize everything, if you're just tuning in to the live stream right now, we have a Clipper system coming tonight, snow or a rain-snow mix moving in around 1 a.m., ending around 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, slushy coating to an inch or so, maybe 2. Of that, but tomorrow afternoon, watch for snow squalls as the storm wraps up and moves away. But the main thumping of the snow will be done by that point. Saturday and Sunday, windy, cold, dry. And then we turn our attention to next Tuesday when we could have another thing to watch.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to try guessing how much snow we're actually going to get from that system.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan, and I think you agree with me on this too. That sometimes the models need time to digest what happens with the first storm in a line of storms before they can properly analyze the next storm.
I mean, one storm comes through, it's going to work with that moisture, and then you get a drier amount of air coming in, then that moisture's gone. So then, how much moisture is actually available for that system? Track is going to be another big forecast method in terms of snowfall. Just a 50-mile change in where that low pressure ultimately goes can result in you getting a foot of snow to
nothing.
A couple inches.
Right. Let me just throw this out there as well, too, just real quick, just briefly touching on that next week's storm. You know, we already saw one storm be an epic bust for this past weekend. Or this coming weekend, Could the same thing happen with this one on Tuesday? Could that one get suppressed south and be a total non-event? Or is this one kind of more of a chance that it's going to come up the coast?
I would probably say the chances of it coming up the coast are fairly good at this point.
And why is that compared to this past weekend when that storm goes out to sea?
I think I'm just going more with climatological applications, where typically if the models are forecasting a low pressure about this time of year around the North Carolina, tends to go along the East Coast. Now, how much moisture that actually has to work with, that's a whole other story.
Right.
And how much of this cold air stays in place. I'm not that confident in the storm right now for Tuesday. We'll have to wait for the models to refine themselves a little bit better.
I probably wouldn't get confident with, or start to get confident with Tuesday till like Saturday-ish, Sunday-ish. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Probably.
And I would probably say that we are probably going to have some type of precipitation on Tuesday and Wednesday, whether that's rain, snow, a mix, or something more in between all of them.
All right, well, before we wrap it up, folks, since we did get a couple of questions on here, I'm just going to put it out there, and we have a few viewers now, that if anybody has any questions before we wrap it up, send them now. Other than that, we're going to shut this stream down in about 2 minutes. But over the next 2 minutes, while you're writing any questions, if anybody has any questions for either me or Dr. Davis, why don't you just tell us how your semester's going? How did the first half of your semester go with your students?
The semester's going good. The students are enjoying the making the radio forecasts.
Right.
Some of them are saying it's a little bit nervous, but overall, they're having fun with it.
They're getting better. Yep, they're doing very good.
The forecast contest is going well, too. I won't say that Dr. Davis is currently in the lead in the overall standings, but
he is.
But I am. Yeah. But ironically, though, I have not won many of the weeks. So
really? Okay.
It's just that I'm consistently good. That's why I'm up there.
All right.
Of course, some students have accused me of cheating on the forecast contest.
Right. You would never do that.
It's like, if I could cheat at weather forecasting, I would be amazing.
If you could cheat at weather forecasting and be successful with it, I think you'd be the richest man in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there would never be any issue as to anything like this. Okay. Well, good luck. Good luck with your second half of the semester. This is a nice break in between, so enjoy. You doing anything special over spring break or hanging close to home here?
I'm running the Science Olympiad on Thursday.
Okay.
That's going to be on campus. Got a whole bunch of high school, middle school students coming around to partake in some science events. And other than that, I'm just going to be around campus. All
right. So if there are any snow threats next week, you and I will try to record and quell the masses out there. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, Dr. Davis, it's been a pleasure talking to you here on our live stream. We'll talk to you next week, and hopefully, we have for you snow fans out there that have constantly been ripped off this year, maybe you'll get a little bit of excitement over the next few days.
Yeah, maybe we should throw them a bone.
One bone before the end of the season. All right. You have a great day, Dr. Davis, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.